let's try to understand what is a framework. Before I could talk about, let's go with a step-by-step approach. What is a work? Any activity involving any of the physical movement or XYZ works. XYZ of any movement is considered as a work. Now, what is a difference between a work and a framework? If anyone is not on mute, we request to be on mute, please. A.
And
Shushila, we
Ishmit, you can
request.
also mute anyone if you want.
Thank you. So let's try understanding difference between a work and a framework. So if I have a certain activity to do, and if I'm doing it on my own wish, it's nothing but work. What is a framework? If I have a predefined and well settled actions or a process around me to execute that particular work, is nothing but a framework. Let's go with a very basic understanding. So why the framework is most important or is highly appreciable by any of the businesses is that has involved a huge thought process to understand, okay, there is specific work called A, it has to be done within this framework. So as simple as that. Now you guys could see there is the most of our administration activities are happening across some particular pandemic, and they defined a framework and they do on that. So it's as simple as that. So it is always good to have a framework. Now, yeah, this is all the English or Google definitions. Now let's go by the real life example. Most of us go for trips. You might have gone to trip to any other nation or any other place. There are two ways to go to a trip. You go by yourself. Probably you're expected to reach by 9 a.m. and then have a breakfast, then have your hotel booked, and then have your vacation spent. This is your individual plan. What happened? Due to some reasons, maybe the flat tire or XYZ reasons, you end up reaching the place late midnight. Unfortunately, you couldn't get a hotel to be there or your stay got a problem. So whatever the challenges comes across, this vacation when you plan alone have to be handled by you. Now imagine the same vacation, you're going through a traveling vendor, maybe Club Mahindra, maybe Thomas Cook, someone is booked for you and they're taking it. Irrespective of the time you reach, maybe midnight, maybe the other day, your hotel, your suite will be booked for you. You'll get every of the need that you wanted to survive, irrespective of the time. The other scenario, you went and you lost some valuable, you missed one of your valuable goods, maybe a camera DSLR, and you came back to India. It's a foreign vacation, okay? Now you went alone, so the probability is you may miss it, it may not come back to you mostly. Now imagine you went with a club vendor, a touring vendor, there would be another set of tourists who has went through them. They'll collect that particular good and come back and give it to you. Now, if you consider vacation as an activity, as a work, and you have a framework which is an authorized vendor, so all your needs, your security, your everything is taken care. The similar happens with RE framework. I can do automation of my own without considering any templates. I can drag and drop a sequence, flowchart, I can go very well. But if I consider RE framework, most of the important activities that happens during my automation will be taken care. So this is a very layman reason why should we prefer an RE framework. Now, when you talk about RE, most of the people know robotics enterprise framework. We have other definition for it, which we will tell you in a couple of minutes. Now let's go and see what does it actually contains. I'm giving you little stats on it. It contains 4 stages, ignoring the start one. The first one goes for init. What is init? Initialization. So what is initialization? We'll talk on that. The second one, after I initialize, I need to get the transaction data. This is a second stage. The third one goes the process. So whatever the transaction data I have, at the end, I have to process it. So these are the 4 stages defined. You find it everywhere. Now, I'm taking into a very weird example. Let me know if you can see something on the screen. There is a restaurant, right? Oh, can anyone confirm that you can see some weird drawing?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we can see it
Thank
is
you. Thank
visible.
you. Thank you. So this is what I've tried. Okay, as I'm feeling bored, I've tried. Now I'm taking your story a little off track. Let's go with the stage one, which you see here. There is a certain customers went to a restaurant. What happens when you go for a restaurant? So the bearer comes, he he starts noting down all the requirements you want to have your starving or your carving fulfilled. So what does he do? He'll ask for you some certain things, you give him the order. So there'll be a certain question, right? When you go and say, the bearer comes, sir, your food is ready. You feel it really awkward. The food is not ready because I've just come, I haven't ordered anything. This is the one condition. So whatever you say, he will note it down. There would be three people. One would be eating a South Indian, one would be eating a North Indian meal, one would be having some different Chinese kind of thing. So the entire configuration of that table. So what are these people going to eat and how do they want? All this information will be noted, and that information will be given to stage two, which you see here. Now, there are two conditions. What do you check? You'll definitely ask, right? I hope the food is in a hygiene condition, which means there is no errors in the food. The food error should be nothing. Your condition. A customer who went into a restaurant, he check for these conditions. And what is the other one? Already food ordered. The moment you sit in, he says, sir, your food is ready. You feel really weird because you haven't ordered anything. So anything ordered on your name already should be nothing. I'm telling you a very layman example. Now, if these two conditions met, then it is successful. The bearer takes the order and goes to his chef area. What does the chef do? He note down everything. Okay, I have got my data to cook. What he'll have item one, item two, item three, some item names. He considers that as a complete data that he has to cook. In that data, in that items, whatever he has, he also need to specifically identify certain item. So there would be some unique identification, maybe vegetarian, non-vegetarian, a certain item, sandwich. So he name it in such a way that entire data that he is going to prepare would be identified particularly. Then he noted down everything. Then where is the action going? Look at number three here. So once the chef prepares everything, what does he do? It actually comes to the table. It actually comes to you who is going to have the food. What are you going to do here? The items that are listed by the configuration defined by the bearer in the first stage, stage one, went to chef area, chef prepares them, serves it onto your table. What are you now? If you consider the four stages, you are those whoever is eating is in the stage called process. Now the food which is being prepared is in the process. While eating, what happened? You look at this lady at the left bottom corner, right bottom corner. She isn't finding good. What happened? Maybe the food is not warm, or she's missing some of the ingredients that she want. So what she might tell you, sir? Can you please go ahead and make it a little warm? If you have the micro oven, you will do a retry. You take the item, you try it again, bring it back to serve. And if you say, no, sir, we cannot do anything, it is as cold as it is, you have to eat, probably the customer choice, customer may walk away. What do he do? If you cannot fix, he go and he'll tell the bearer, if you follow this line, see where is it going. If you could not fulfill the customer requirement telling that even you cannot, you retry to make it warm, still the customer is not liking, or you told, I am sorry, I cannot retry to make it warm, then absolutely the customer walks up to the initialization stage. It will tell the bearer, I'm sorry, your food is not as I expected, so I'm not liking it. So what does it mean? There is some error in the food. Now the other scenario, look at the guy who is sitting in the between. What is he telling? This is not what I ordered, which means the business error. You're about to serve him item A, you're serving item B, which is absolutely against the business rules. So he can't do anything. He'll simply inform again back to the chef, I'm sorry, sir, this is not what I'm going to eat. So what will happen? They'll keep that item away. They go back, prepare, and bring the food that what he's going to eat. So this is a business exception, which means I'm not going, whatever I've ordered hasn't come to me. Instead, it came something else. So you don't like it, right? If you ordered for a shirt and you're getting a pant, you don't like it. If you ordered for a sandwich, you're getting a burger, you don't like it. So what will happen in that scenario in usual? They'll take it back, they'll prepare it, bring it back to you on your table. So you will not eat the item which is not belonging to you. You'll keep it away, you'll report it, and they'll prepare a new one. Now, when the food came to you, two scenarios we covered. One, the food is not as expected. So the bearer or a chef will retry to make it warm, add some ingredients, make it delicious for you. The other one, sorry, the other one is you expected something and it has delivered something else. So there is nothing you could do there. So that particular item will not be eaten by you and goes back to chef. He prepares a new one and bring it back, which means the business error. The rule of the business is being missed. Now come to the third scenario, which you see here. This lady is pretty happy, which means the food is good. So you have ordered 4 items. Item 1 came, neither it is warm, neither it is not what you expected. It is exactly the one which you want. You ate it. The new one goes for the process. Again, the connections are going to the get transaction data stage. This is a get transaction data. They cook, they prepare a new one and bring it back to you. So these are the 3 stages. Now you see this connection from here, this red mark. The ordered food ID is not available. What does it mean? So whatever you have ordered, we have delivered everything. So there is no more food for your table to eat. So what will happen? I'll say there is nothing more to eat. So the person is leaving and going away from the restaurant. What is the other scenario? If you follow this lady at the right bottom, she said the food is not like I want. So we retried, still we couldn't. So the control is going to init stage and it is telling food error is not nothing, which means there is some error with the food. So again, you will end and you'll walk away. This is a very small attempt we tried to involve RE framework here, how it is actually working. RE framework stands for Robotic Enterprise Framework. We're trying to inculcate the restaurant eating style here. If you're not completely well versed with it, no worries. Now we are going to RE framework. That's where you can understand. Let's take any quick questions we have over the chat. Give me a minute. Okay, now let's come back here. Now, in this RE framework today, before we explain, we thought to bring some model, which is your advanced certification. If most of you have finished your advanced certification, you would be knowing what you have to do there. Let me take you there. There is an ACME test. Guess along with RE framework today, we also thought to take you a little way in completing your advanced certification. So this is the URL where you go, and let me log in. We'll talk about the activities first. The first activity is I'm dividing it. First, we need to log in. For logging in, the requirements. Log into ACME. Requirements. Credentials. Second step, navigate, extract data, then upload to queue. Init ends here. The initialization state ends here. Get transaction items from queue. Get transaction data ends here. We will upload all the transaction items in the target app, process state ends here. We are in the orchestrate in the studio. Just have a look here. So as we were discussing, it is divided into four stages or four states. I'll try my best now. 10 global variables. The first state, as we were all discussing, init. What happens here? All settings will be kept ready, and all applications will be kept open. Because when I mean the settings, reading config file. When I mean applications, all apps being used in the program. When these activities are happening, it contains variables. There are 10 variables which we discussed and we missed talking about them. So let me explain each of them. The first variable here, the global variable, is system error. This is of exception data type. Okay. And its value will be nothing. So what does it mean? So whenever I'm going to start a process, I will tell my system, see here, we're going to initialization state. I'll tell my system, I'll simply drag and drop an RT. I'll say system error is equal to nothing, which means I'm assuming that there is no error in my system. If there are errors in my system, I'm going to the Profile Explorer. If there are no errors, then I'll start reading my configuration file. What is actually a configuration file? What does it contains? It contains, if you're opening it for the first time, it contains nothing. It has no information. Now what we do, we will fill it. I'm going to orchestrator. I'm going to the queues. There is one queue with this name. As for the time being, I'm deleting it and recreating it. And I'm saying there is no retry. I don't want to retry any failed item. I only try it once. If once you select no here, you cannot make it yes ever again. Okay. This is the queue name. In my configuration file, I am telling queue name is this. So what happens is in my this RE framework, the queue which will be used is the one which I've defined in here. Now what I need to do, I want a URL. What is the URL that we're going to use? This is the URL. And I'm copying and pasting here. Done. What else is needed? We need credentials. We'll see how to get them. Now two values we filled here. What is the queue we are using? What is the URL we are going to use for this process? So configuration is being read. So now our robot will go to that Excel file. It is inside a XAML called init all settings. As we're talking about config, our first variable is done, system error. Now second global variable is config. It is of dictionary data type. It holds all config file values, which means, for example, I'm giving how to actually call a dictionary. Config of URL dot to string. is equal to this will come. This is how config works. Okay. Now the second variable is done. First global variable is system exception. Second global variable is config. If you see here, two variables are finished. One is config. The other is where is system exception? It will be somewhere here. System exception. It is of type exception. Now here I have invoked a small XAML. So for that, whenever you see an invoke, what is invoke? This particular code will do something. It either takes something in and gives something out. It is taking, what is it taking? Configuration file path. So you have to tell, when I'm going to read this file, the first thing you need to do is you have to tell me where that file is. We have given the location. In that Excel file, do I need to read only one sheet or more than one sheet? You have to read more than one sheet. So there are two sheets. So we're defining them as in config sheets. The direction of this argument is in. It is going inside as an array. Now, after you read all this, what will happen? Whatever the values inside your configuration file will come out. Like what is the URL, what is the employee name, what is the location, what is the asset. All this information will come out. That's why out config, which is of dictionary type, direction out, has assigned with this variable. I'm doing it again, config, which means this global variable is holding the data which is coming from this workflow. Are we clear till here? You guys understood?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Now let me go inside this and see what is there. Very first, I'm initializing a dictionary. Guys, whenever you use the dictionary, whenever you use a list, what are this? These are variables which hold multiple values. Such kind of things you have to initialize, which means आपको declare करना पड़ेगा. You have to declare it. So you're declaring it by saying out config is equal to new dictionary. Whoever joins, please mute. Okay. Give me a minute. We're on call, Skype or Zoom call. Now, what am I doing? This is as simple. For each sheet in this Excel, for each sheet, I'm telling go and read. It goes first, reads the first sheet and stores its data to settings and constants data table. So for that data table, now see my friends, for the first time it is coming here and reading this and storing it inside a data table called settings and constants. It is reading this and whatever the data you see on the screen of the Excel are stored inside a data table called settings and constants. Now what happens? In this settings and constants, while creating config, I have to assign this to this, framework to this, Acme to this. So how am I doing it? Just give me a minute. Just see how are we doing? We doing for each, guys, it is for each row. Inside that, there is one more for each row. Forgive me. First one is the for each. Second one is for each row. What are we telling? For each row in this data table, out row of name is equal to out row of this. Let me show you. I'll simply put one thing here. I'll put a box. You will understand it a little better. I'll copy this. I'll put it here. Is that the name? I'm saying URL. I will close this. As it doesn't need any row. Now see here, what's happening on this particular code. We initiated a dictionary, we created a dictionary like the same we created a variable, but it went to the config sheet, it reads, stores it into a data table. From that data table, it assigns all the left-hand side values to right-hand side. I've just simply put a message box. So you'll understand. Now I'm running only this small XAML, only the init settings. See, the URL has come. It is doing it for everyone. So now you understood what is it doing? Is that clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Be pretty open. So did you share the code in the email? Murli, we're sharing the code, Murli. We re-recording it because there were some, when we saw the recording, there are some multiple disturbances. The screen is very, very weird today. Okay. Now from this, all the configuration values, whatever the data in the Excel have got added and came out from this out config value to configuration. Now we read everything. After that, what we're doing, we're killing if there is any process. Now we're trying to add, these are very generic. You don't need to do anything. Now initialize all setting, all applications. There is nothing here. Now see how we do it. Now guys, remember, so far we have covered two topics. One is system error, which is of exception data type and its values config, which is of dictionary data type, and it holds all the config values. And we have given the example we have shown you as well. Now let me create a sample process called 25th April Acme login. I want you to log into that particular website. So to log in here, what do I need? What are the prerequisites? Quick answer. What do we need if I need to log in there? If we need to log in any website, what do you think are mandate?
User ID and password.
Yeah, user ID, password, and then the URL. Yeah, thanks, Vedyas. Now let's see what we're going to do here. I'm simply dragging and dropping kill process. So whenever you log into any of the web, the first job is you need to kill it, which means if the Explorer is already open, you're going to kill it. Now what we're going to do? The very basic activity, open browser. What is the URL? This is the URL, right? Simply save, run. What it should do? There is an Internet Explorer already open. It killed it and it has opened a new one. Yeah, very good. Now what I want username and password. So now you tell me, how do we get the username password? Username, that's okay. It is not any critical. You can keep it anywhere, but the password is a critical information. So for such activities, what UiPath has done in the assets, you can create something by this value. Like how to create, okay? I'm just duplicating it. Acme credential one, its data type should be credential. Then you have to type username here, blah, blah, blah. Then you have to type the password. Why you can't see the password? Why you can see the username? This is string. This is secure string. The same we have created this. Now this is going to be my credential. Let me come here. I want that credential. For that, what I need an activity called credential. Get credential from Marcus. I'm dragging and dropping here. Here I'm giving the name of the credential. I've given the name here. the output will come here and here. Now, this is hard coding. So what am I doing? Something called in underscore credential. Can anyone tell me why am I putting the direction in here? Any guess why the direction is in? Anupam, can you see if anyone trying to log in that you need to allow them the permission?
Yeah, I have allowed everyone. No one is trying to log in right now. The total 9 participants.
Can anyone tell me why the direction is in?
Because we are using the credentials, right? We are getting the
No.
credentials from the
So
orchestrator.
see, I dragged and drop a get credential activity.
Yes.
Here, the asset name is input for me. Okay. In this, the direction is in.
Because it has to accept.
It goes inside.
Yeah.
It goes. This goes inside. Now, when I create this, you'll understand. Out underscore username. Out underscore password. So if I'm doing an activity called get credential, for this, you need to give one credential as input. Thanks, Denny. And the output, when you give this credential, it goes to orchestrator. It asks this particular credential, give me what are the data you're storing. What data it stores? Control space, it stores the password. Control space, it stores the username. The password is throwing error. The password should not be string. It should be secure
Pure
string.
string.
Yep. Now the error is gone. In credential. As it is in, now I'm giving a default value called Acme credential. Okay. Now see, understand the function. First, we're killing the process. Second, we are going ahead and getting the credential. We have given, go to this and get me this information. So when I do an activity called get credential, my input is credential name, output is credential details, credential values. Now, as it is a web URL, I'm telling to maximize. Now tell me what is the action. Now I'm in this page. What I need to do? I need to type here. I need to type here.
Type into.
Type into.
After maximize, one type into, and after that type secure text because it's a password. Here, Alt tab. Oh, sorry, I missed it. I'm selecting. I'm highlighting where I should type. The second one also I'm selecting, and I've highlighted where to type. After two type intos, very basic. I need to click on login. Simple. Now what should I pass here? Control space, out username. Control space, out password. Guys, the way the password is very different. Sorry, guys. Now it's all over. We'll see up to here how this code runs. What it will do, it will delete, and then it will go, it will fetch this information. It will give this information here and then work. So, but for sake, what am I doing is in underscore URL. I'm removing this URL from here. I'm giving it here. I'm replacing this with one more argument. Guys, we haven't created any variables. We only created arguments. Now let me run this. It should kill this session. It killed. It's logged in, clicked. What is our next activity? Technically, I need to go here and reset this data. I need to reset. So all my data comes to normal. This will not be done by bot. We should be doing it. Then I should go here. So I'm copying this. Now, this is our main re-framework. What am I doing? This is my project folder, minimizing it. Now, what is the other XAML we had? We had is this login. I'm saving it. I'm going into this project file explorer. I'm renaming it as login to Acme. This is important step, my friends. I'm just copying it and I'm going to the folder of re-framework and I am pasting it here. After I paste, I simply refresh, close it. Now I don't need this anymore. This is my individual XAML. I don't need this. I'm closing it. Now I'm in my re-framework. I simply come here and refresh. You see this login XAML has come. Now where it should be identically. It should be in init all applications. Open workflow, dragging and dropping, import arguments. What does it need? It needs a credential, right? See what are we doing? In config of we don't have it. So let's create one. Credential data. What is the queue name? What is the asset? This is the asset name. Okay. Guys, wherever you see in config, out config, that is simply this values, my friend. Now what I'm going to do is there instead of I've given a default value, hard coded value, I'll say dot to string. Correct. In URL, URL also there. Can anyone tell me what I should do here? I'm data. I'm saying control space in config of double quotes. Go to the Excel. What should I select? URL. I'm clicking here. And I'm saying URL dot toString. Sorry, there's a space. URL double quotes of dot toString. This is okay. Here is the error.
Say there's a space and after that you put, so if you can delete it all and then again you paste it.
Something wrong with the system
Dot
today.
to string is there at the last. No, go to no, delete
Deleted everything. So in the double quotes, I'm saying URL dot toString. Okay. Now saved. Guys, now let me run the re-framework and see whether it happens. Going ahead and running it. It should close this IE. Nothing happened. Because we have kept this file open. This Excel should not be open. I'm closing it. Now running it. Oh, there was a message box we placed, right? After that, the IE got closed. It got reopened. It filled in the value. It clicked. Done. This is purely executed in Re-Framework. Now, what is the next activity? Next step is I need to navigate to this page. For that, what am I doing? I'm copying this. Just for your sake, I'm explaining. I'm creating a new process and I'm saying it 25th April. Navigate work items. In this, I'm doing very simple task. Navigate to drag and drop. What does it need? It needs a URL. Done. You can either give this way or you can say in config of URL. This all you can say, just giving an example, okay? In config of URL plus double quotes slash plus work items. Even this will take you there. As in config is not correct one, it is throwing an error. Okay, we just did one more small example, very pretty small exam code, and we go to this file explorer as well. Rename this main XAML to navigate to work item. Simple. This is small XAMLs, guys. We're building it outside. Finally, we are adding it into our Re-Framework. Now I'll go to Re-Framework, project, file explorer. What do? I simply paste here and then give a right click and do a refresh. Do a refresh. Close it. Now you don't see navigate here, but if I do a refresh, the navigate work items has come. Where this navigate work items, guys, we are all in the initialization stage. For us, the initialization is nothing but keeping all the application ready for us to proceed further. I'm again going back to init all applications XAML, right click, open workflow file. After logging in, I need to navigate, so I'm dragging and dropping here. Does it have any arguments? No, no arguments, so no mapping. Perfect. Now, for your sake, though it is smaller activity, I'm rerunning it again. Now we're running it from Re-Framework. This message will remove. Okay, now it locks in. Super. Now what is our next activity? If I go here, navigate. Oh, it failed to navigate. It didn't navigate. Why it didn't navigate? Sorry, anyone guess what is the mistake? There was a mistake. We need to use an attached browser. We need to tell in which browser it has to navigate. Now, keep this here. Save it. Let's run it again. Now I will be closed. The IE is closed by itself. Yeah, it is successfully navigated. Now, any guess what is the next activity? We need to scrap this data. For that, help me to build one more XAML. I'm creating new more. 25th April, I'm keeping the date. 25th April, extract data. We actually have to extract all the pages data, but for the interest of time, let's extract one page, which you can put it in for each. It will keep going for all the other pages. In this, I'm doing nothing. Click on data scrap. Next. It is a whole table. Yes, the whole table has come. I'm saying finish. I'm not going to the other pages. Very quick. Now see what you need to do here. Now let me create an argument call. Guys, I'm extracting data. So this data will be used outside. So my argument should be of direction out transaction data, and the direction should be out. Whenever you select something out, don't give any value here. Okay. Now what am I doing? I'm simply dragging and dropping an assign activity, control space, out transaction data is equal to control space, extracted data table. What is extracted data table? The data you extracted is stored in a variable called extracted data table. Why is it throwing an error? Because your out transaction data is of string type, but it should be data table. Now no error. Very clean. We did one more small XAML. What is this XAML is doing? It is simply going and extracting the data. I'm going to the project folder of this small XAML, renaming it, giving it name of extract data. What is my next activity? You guys might already guessed. Copy, go to Re-Framework project, paste it here, and then do a refresh. Come back here. It is not visible. Extract is not visible anywhere. If I do a refresh, the extract has come in. Extract data has come in. Now we are coming close to the outside of the area in initialization stage. Now I'm all done. Open workflow file. In the initialization, first I'll log in. After login, I'll navigate. Once I navigate, I'll extract the data. Does it have arguments? Yes, it has one argument. So it should store a data. So in the init, I'm doing one thing. I'm creating data table 1. It should be of data table. Now see the magic, guys. The data which is coming out will have to be stored somewhere. So I'm storing it in a variable called data table 1. After this value, whatever the value you see here, should be in my orchestrator. It has to be loaded into my queues. So for that, what I am doing is I'm not creating any more XAMLs. Within RE framework, I'm saying bulk queue item, add bulk queue item. See the properties. What does an add bulk queue item need? I want to add some data to a queue in orchestrator. Logically, what should I need? I need the name of the queue and the value. The input is control space. So whatever the values in the data table should be added to this queue. Which queue? Do we have a queue name? I don't know. So in config of double quotes, where should we go? We need to go to our config file. Is there any queue? Yes. Copy this name. I'm doing a copy. Coming back here. .toString. So now the values will be added to to this queue. There are no values out here. Let us run our reframework. I'm saving it all. Guys, we are all in the initialization stage. We logged in, we get the credentials. First we killed, we logged in, we navigated, we extracted the table, and we're adding the values to the queue here. So let's see whether this all will be done through the reframework. Kindly let us know if you have any doubts. There are no values here. Oh, I'm forgetting to close this. Now it launches. It extracted the data. Let me take you guys to orchestrator. I'm just refreshing. The robot is still running. Let me go inside and see. First, let me see the output. Is there an error? No error. View transactions. Yes, we've got 10 transactions added. View detail of each. Guys, these are the values. Now, if you see here, the first one is just let me know whether this data is matching to it or not. The data is almost matching. There is a 56812 is the first one. Research client check copy. Type is WI2. Status is open. Date is this. Guys, can you just quickly confirm if you could find these values matched?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Sayed.
Thanks. Now, my quick question to you. Now, where is the data? The data is in orchestrator. Now, the job of initialization is to take the data, give it to the get transaction data stage. That stage is nothing but the orchestrator or anywhere. Now, as simple with our example, the bearer came, he asked the customers gave all the inputs, he sent the data to the chef area, the place where the chef will prepare. Now the data is here. When are we going to come here? We're going to go there when two conditions are met, my friend. There should not be any system error. The system error should be nothing, and the config should be nothing, which means there is no predefined values inside it. So those two conditions met, so we came to successful. In get transaction data, what is the first activity? What does a chef do before he prepare before he prepare a particular item? He will, though he is not technically, but he will wait if someone, his manager or someone comes and says, hey, don't cook, the patient left. Similarly, here it is waiting for a signal call, should stop. Is anybody telling me to stop? If yes, it will not do anything. It will not get the data. It will say the transaction item is nothing, my friend. What is transaction item is nothing? If there is no item to process, do I need to go here? If there is no item to process, do I need to go here? Yes, no?
No,
Quick answer on your chat. I don't have any data to process. Do you want me to go to this process stage?
no,
Thanks. Similar. Now, if someone is telling me to stop, what does that mean? That means I should not prepare any item, which means my transaction item is nothing. So I'll simply go to end state. If there is nobody telling me, then I'll go to invoke transaction data state. Now, as we have come to transaction data, let me explain you the remaining variables, the global variables. A quick question. Can anybody tell me what is the transaction data here? Okay, I went
the
to a
data
hotel.
which we have scrapped.
Tell me, sir.
Data which we have scrapped and stored
Yeah,
in queue.
this entire is a transaction data, right? Everyone agree?
Yes,
Thank you. Now, from this, what is transaction item? Each row is
each and every
transaction item.
element. Yeah.
Each row. Okay, now imagine this has 10 transaction items. Now the other global variable here is transaction data. What type it will be? It will be data table type. What is the other transaction date? Other global variable?
Transaction item.
What is the data type?
Data row.
Very good. Guys, is the others following it? Any doubts you guys have? I really appreciate you guys joined on this short notice. I just wanted to ensure that are you guys okay with it? So far, whatever been discussed, you guys able to grab it? Any questions?
All good, sir.
No, Sayed.
Super. Now the other one is transaction item. I'm letting you know what is a transaction item, my friend. Each and every row here is a transaction item. Or only a certain thing from this. Maybe I don't want this entire column, okay? Other than this, rest all are my transaction items. That is also possible. For example, for giving you the salary, what is the transaction item? Your information is the transaction item. Yes, no? Your company has to provide your salary, your information is needed. So each employee information is considered as transaction item. Total employees information is considered as transaction data. Agree? Is this example making sound for you?
Yes, Sayed.
Thank you. Now, there may be 10 Sumits in the company, right? How does all the Sumit named people will have the same salary or a different salary?
Different one.
Different.
So how do I know for this Sumit I need to pay 100 rupees, for that Sumit I need to pay 200 rupees?
The employee ID.
Employee ID. Unique
So
ID
very
associated
good.
with each employee.
Thank you. That's what. The other global variable is transaction ID. It is of data type string. So if you see in this, can anyone tell me what could be our transaction ID?
WIID.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Satish. So something of this sort. Now, what is transaction ID doing here? It is helping us to identify unique item. Of course, all are going good. When you have a transaction data, when you have a transaction item, so who should be given first, second, third, right? There should be, now if I go and order something to a chef, I'll order 5 items. He should be knowing it, right? Which one should come first? In general, what comes first, the starter or the main course?
Starter.
Of course, starter comes first. How does he know? He notes it down, right? For
Yes.
that, to identify, we are using transaction ID. To sequentialize, we need the transaction number. To give a sequence, to give a token, hey, he's number 1, he's number 2, he's number 3. Got it, right? Now, in addition to this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, okay. In addition to this, there are 2 more variables here. Transaction field 1, transaction field 2. What data type this could be? This could be of string again. Why is this, sir? What are these? Now, for example, while processing salary, I wanted to know your location. So that will be stored in transaction field 1, field 2. These are like Stephanie. 2 Stephanie global variables. You wanted to store some extra values, store it here. Okay. Now, how many global variables we discussed so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Done?
Sayed, one
It's,
question.
yes.
On what basis it will give transaction number to the different transaction ID? Like which one should be the first and second, like that?
No, here by default, whichever the first value, if you see here, right? The last value I'm picking, okay? You see
Okay.
this, the last value I'm picking. What is the ID?
568162.
Okay. Now I'm going to this data. What is the first one?
Yeah, same.
So the first transaction, the transaction number 1, this is transaction number 1.
So in a sequential manner, it will take.
Sequential manner. That's it. Like
Okay.
first in, first out kind of formula.
Okay, fine.
So whichever the value comes in there, that will get the first value. 1, 2, 3. So tomorrow you need, right? How many transactions are successful? The count at least you need, right? For that, this will be very much helpful. You see here, transaction number. Can you see in the output? Transaction number
Yes.
1,
Yes.
transaction
Yeah.
number 2, transaction number 3. So that is generic, very, very generic number. Now we understood global variables. Now see what are we doing in the transaction data area. Only one activity does everything if you are using queues. Mark this word, if you are using queues. What is that? Get transaction item. Drag and drop this activity. See what are it ask? What is its parameters are asking? What is the input it need?
Queue name.
Okay, where is the transaction item? It is in the queues, right?
Yes.
This entire is transaction data. Each one is
Transaction item.
super. I need this transaction item. So I need to get it from a queue. For that, I drag and drop a get transaction item activity. This is the first activity in my get transaction data. See what is the input it is asking. In config of orchestrator queue name. So where should we go again? To configuration file. Why are we always giving values in the configuration file? If tomorrow by any chance I need to change, I can simply change it in this Excel, right? If you see here,
Yes.
what is the name of the queue? Acme data 25th April. The same is here. If I say config of orchestrator queue name, this value will come. Yes, no, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. That's what we're doing. And we are storing the output to out transaction item. Now let me come take you guys here. Simple thing. This area, adding the extracted data table values to orchestrator. This area, whatever the values added, it is getting them back to where? Who is process? Process is eating, the people who are eating food, right? So this chef area is getting the values to eating area. Agree? So now if you come here, the very important thing you need to focus is out transaction item is mapped to transaction item global variable. You see, all are mapped. These are all the arguments which we created just to map it to your global variables. I just want to take one quick understand this. We are 80% done. Everyone, a quick confirmation, please.
Yes, Sayed.
No, don't save just for the sake. If you have any queries on this, let me know. I hope this you understand, right? Each
Yes.
transaction item data type is queue item. Oh my God, did I miss that? Each transaction item data type is data row, or if you are using queues, it will be queue item. So all the values from here are coming out. Now, what happens generically? First, it picks this value, process it, picks, process it, picks, process it, picks, process, picks, process, picks, process. It all do this, right? How does it get to know that after this there is no more data? Any idea? You understand? So that is the advantage of adding queues. If you are adding queues, it will understand by itself when the queue data is empty. Then it will automatically convert one small setting. What is that setting? First value comes here. Should stop there? Yes, no. No should stop. the control goes here. It gets the value, gives it to process. Second time, should stop. Yes, no, no. No one is asking me to stop. Get the value, give there. After all 10 rounds done, what happens? Automatically should stop gets triggered, my friend. After 10 values are done, right? Orchestrator automatically triggers it, should stop. Then yes. Then what is the transaction item value? Nothing. If there is nothing to transact, then I'll go to end process. Now we are done until here. Now let's go to process transaction. This is process transaction, which is nothing but you sitting in a restaurant and eating. What do you expect? The simple thing. I have asked him item A, he should serve me item A. If he brings me item B, what is it? This is against their business rule, right? Agree or not?
Yes.
You went to a restaurant and you're a vegetarian, you asked him for a vegetarian food, he brings in non-veg. Absolutely against the business. And you ask the vice versa, it's against the business. So we presume or we assume or we initialize one more global variable called business exception. Now EFGHI dot J. The last business exception that we're going to trigger here is the last global variable is business exception. What is this data type?
This exception.
Business rule exception. There is a data type, sir. UiPath has a predefined data type called business rule exception. There is one more here. We'll discuss in a minute. So we will assume that it is nothing. We will initialize telling. ऐसा होता है ना कि prayer करता है. We pray and we say everything is good. Just like that, business rule exception is nothing. And then we will start our process. What is the process? The process is pretty lengthy. As I was talking to you, click here, go to downloads. You need to copy this. And then there is go here, some blah, 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 XYZ. This is all process. Okay. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to share that code with you. Now for the time being, we define one small process telling drag and drop if. Even before that, let me show you how it works. Putting a message box, control space in transaction item. So in this, what is the argument being used? If you're confused, just say control space in transaction item dot. It has a method called specific content in transaction item dot specific content of what you wanted to know from here. Oh, we don't have any value. Okay. From here we'll see. The work items in transaction. So these are all specific items, okay? The headers. Specific item is nothing but a header. In transaction dot specific content of, I'm saying dot toString. Now, can anyone tell me what value I'll get if I put this in message box?
WIID.
What value it get?
Like this 5, 6, 8, 1, 6, 2, all those values.
Yeah, let me see that. Now you understand that what are we processing? We are identifying each and every value from the queue. Let me run this. Now guys, we almost touched every part of Re-Framework. Oh, this is open. Closed. Oh, this one you guys can skip it for a while. Now see, it opened, it navigates, it goes to the data table. Oof. Sorry. We're just giving a helping hand. It navigated, it extracts all the value and it added to queue. Now, if I take you here, this contains values, my friend. From this view details, this is what we're doing. Whenever you say specific data, okay, These are all specific contents. The left side are all specific contents. If I say in transaction item dot specific content of status, what do I get? What is the output?
Open.
Very good. So now it will do for everything. 5618. Let me keep this open for you. 1046 49. After this, there are only one item. This is the last item. Okay. Done. Now, if I go here, all the status is new. Initially, when Q item gets added, right, its status will be new. As and when if you refresh, all are successful. Yes, no? Because we able to, what is our process? We wanted to fetch the data. I'm giving an example. We wanted to fetch all the WID data. So we got it successfully. So the status is also successful. Just for change, I'm deleting it again and creating. I will also explain how does a business rule exception comes. The retry, I'm saying no. I'm going down ahead and creating it. Okay, now it does not contain any value. Now see, my friends, this is pretty important for you. In process, I'm going again. Instead of writing this, okay, oh, instead of putting it in a message box, I'm adding a condition. If in control space in transaction item dot specific content of double quotes WIID dot to string dot starts with 4. What am I saying? If this item starts with 4, it should not start. If I ask for vegetarian, I should get vegetarian. I should not get non-vegetarian item. If I get, what does it mean? It is a business error. This is the last question. I know people are dropping. Hello? Understand, right? You getting my condition? If
Yes, yes.
the food I ordered is vegetarian, then I'm okay. If not, what does it mean? Business exception, right? So I'm doing the same thing. I'm adding through. For me, it should not start with that. It should not be 4. If it is 4, it's a business rule. Okay. So for that, what am I saying here? Yeah.
I have a one doubt.
Yeah, please.
So business exception should be right if I go to non-vegetarian restaurant and I order veg, or ulta, if I go to vegetarian restaurant and I order non-veg, that will be the business exception, right?
Look, which is against, defined by business. Now here, what am I telling? Any of my in transaction item WIID should not start with 4. You
Yes.
understand, Mike?
Yes,
It should
yes.
not start with 4. If it starts with 4, then throw me a business rule exception.
Yes, yeah, correct.
Okay.
Hmm.
New business rule exception of, what does it says? Hey, number starts with 4. Done. If not, if that is not the case, then I'm pretty happy. Whatever I wanted to do, I'll do. But for time saving purpose, I'm only doing this. Okay, I'm going to write that value in transaction item dot specific content. Specific content is a method, my friends. For a queue item, specific content is a method. Now you understood? Is it all clear?
Yes.
Super. Now I'm closing it I'm closing the get transaction as well. I'll explain you the last global variable, that is retry count. If you wanted to retry, these are the global variables. Okay, these are the global variables. For your sake, I'm putting it on the chat. Now let's run, because we almost did everything. Let me run this. And my queue items are 0. Array, we're forgetting this. Now what is the step? It goes, logs in. It is going to orchestrator, getting the credentials, then logging in. Navigates, it extracts these values. It is typing, okay? It did not type the number which is starting with 4. It is typing with the number which is starting other than 4, if you see. If you see here, the numbers starting with 4s are not here. Now, if I go to my orchestrator and I refresh my queue data, see something. How many failed?
2.
2 queue items failed. Can you guess what would be the reason?
The ones starting with 4.
Start with 4.
So what is the reason for this failure?
Business
What is the
error.
type of exception? Business exception.
That's not exception.
That's it, my friends. This is such a simple. Only the process area of advanced certification is what I'm going to share. That's pretty lengthy, which I cannot share right now. Is any quick questions from you? Or
All
at
good,
least,
sir. Well
was this good?
explained. Yes, sir.
Can one feedback from everyone? Do you guys understood this? Pragya, there is one person from Dell, Vedavyas, Satish, Sumit.
Yes, Ed, I understood.
Thanks. So actually, we felt pretty bad earlier. We had a huge of disturbances from the technical side. Cool then. That's it from our side. We will wrap, and I'll quickly take you some glimpse of what happens in the advanced certification in the process area. We will be wrapping at 10:45. Okay, let me take you through this. In the process transaction state, what are the possible scenarios? How many possible scenarios in the process stage? I am processing one transaction item. How many possible scenarios will come out?
3.
What are they?
Means this can either pass, this can success or fail due to 2 reasons, either business exception or application exception.
Yes. What is an application exception? Look, while it was typing on Notepad, if I close Notepad, what exception is that?
It's application exception.
Application exception.
System
Oh,
exception.
yeah, that is application exception, which is system. So in that scenario, what happens? If it is business rule, right? I asked for veg, I got non-veg, I'll tell him, go get me veg item. So if you see, this rule exception is nothing but business rule exception. If a business rule exception occurs, see where the control is going. From process, the control is going to get transaction data, which means it will skip that, it will fetch a new data. I want phone number to enter in one of the application. Entering into application is my process. The phone number should be 10 digit. If it is less than 10, what type of exception is that?
It's application.
Business
Sorry,
exception.
business exception.
It is a business exception. So what do I do with that? I do retry on that.
Yes.
No. Business exceptions.
No, we
between
will
No
skip
matter,
that.
yeah, no matter whatever I do, even if I right try, it is 9 digits only. So if certain item is failed with business exception, you will not retry. Now, where does retry comes in picture? The retry comes into picture where you have a system error. The notepad is not opening, right? There you will retry. That retry you will predefine. You will either define while creating queue or you will define it in your code. Now, there is a status for each transaction, right? Do you see the status? The first column? Just give me a quick confirmation. It's too late. You see the status here? Successful, failed,
Yes.
successful,
Yes.
failed. How does it comes here? It comes from the finally stage of process transaction. If you go in here, okay, it is not defined here. We actually define it. This is being a fresh one. You can't see this. Let me take you into, yeah. We have deleted it there. You see this? In the finally, there is one more XAML. Invoke set transaction status. You do nothing here, friends. These are all pre-built. This is the advantage of having an RE framework. See, there is a, if it is success, yes, no. Where will it go? If it is success, it comes here. Set transaction status. It will put the transaction status of that particular queue item to successful. Okay. You see this? Set transaction status. You got one transaction item, you processed it. If it is successful, what will be the status? Successful only. Now take me a little back. If it is not successful, then your robot falls into one more decision called, is there a business rule exception? Yes, no. If it is business rule exception, then failed with business rule exception. In these two scenarios, will it retry?
No.
In success scenario, in business rule exception scenario, will it retry?
No.
Simple. It will not retry, and it just increments and finds the new value, friend. Okay. If it is success, it increments the transaction number index, which means it goes and picks the new one. If it is business rule exception, it goes and picks the new one. If you see this links in system exception, it is pretty tricky. It will say set transaction status to failed. Reason is application type. Then it will initiate one more function of retrying. You don't need to build all this. It's already pre-built. It also takes a screenshot and saves it. Okay. So that's where the retry comes in picture. So we finished everything. We completed almost every component. How does the retry mechanism also works? How does the setting up status of a transaction item, which is a queue item, will work? Any quick questions on this? Perfect then. Anupam, you just help us with the recording.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
We're closing for the day. Thanks a lot for joining at a short notice. See you everyone.